Big news coming out of Chicago, as the Bears are already shaping their future. And this early projection gives us a strong hint of what's coming next. Before we dive in, smash that like button, drop your take in the comments, and let me know. Are you riding with this direction or not? As always, bear down. The Chicago Bears are already looking ahead, and even though the 2026 draft has just wrapped up, early projections are starting to paint a very clear picture of how this roster could evolve moving forward. After bringing in a fresh rookie class that included Dylan Thiemann, Logan Jones, Sam Roush, Zavon Thomas, Malik Muhammad, Keyshawn Elliott, and Jordan Vandenberg, the front office appears far from done when it comes to shaping the identity of this team. What stands out immediately is that this isn't just about adding talent. It's about preparing for looming roster transitions that could redefine the Bears over the next 2 seasons. Holding the 18th overall pick in this early projection, the Bears are positioned right in that middle ground, where value meets opportunity. And the name gaining traction here is Mateo Uyalele, an edge rusher out of Oregon who fits exactly what this defensive scheme has been missing. At 6'5", 272 pounds, he brings the kind of physical presence that can immediately impact both the pass rush and run defense. What makes him particularly intriguing is his development curve. Over the last 2 seasons, he's shown consistent growth, especially against the run, an area that had previously been a concern. His sack numbers might not jump off the page, but context matters. Oregon's defensive line was stacked, spreading production across multiple players. This is where things get interesting for Chicago. The defensive line, especially the edge position, is quietly becoming one of the biggest long-term concerns on the roster. There's flexibility coming in the near future with several contracts, and that opens the door for a reset. Uyalele fits the mold of what this defense wants: power, size, and the ability to collapse the pocket. He's still refining his pass rush arsenal, but the raw tools are there, and with another strong college season, he could easily solidify himself as a mid-first-round talent. Now shift to the second round, where the Bears could make a move that might excite fans even more. Mark Fletcher Jr., the running back out of Miami, is a name that's starting to generate serious buzz. At around 220 pounds, he's built like a classic workhorse back, but what separates him is his versatility. He can run between the tackles with authority, yet still has enough speed to bounce outside and create explosive plays. During Miami's run to the national title game, he proved he could handle a heavy workload, something that translates directly to the NFL level. This potential pick becomes even more significant when you consider the future of the Bears' backfield. With DeAndre Swift potentially hitting free agency in the near future, there's a real possibility that Chicago will need a new lead back. Pairing someone like Fletcher with Kyle Monangai could give the Bears a balanced, physical, rushing attack that can control games and support the offense in critical moments. Fletcher also flashed solid receiving ability, even though it wasn't heavily utilized, suggesting he has the tools to become a true 3-down back at the next level. And this is where the bigger picture starts to form. The Bears aren't just drafting for immediate needs, they're anticipating what this roster will look like a year from now. The offense could be shifting toward a more physical identity, while the defense is clearly in line for a potential overhaul, particularly in the trenches. It's a strategic approach that shows awareness of both current limitations and future opportunities. As this early projection unfolds, one thing becomes clear: Chicago is setting itself up for a pivotal transition period. The moves they make next could define whether this team builds on its recent success or finds itself retooling once again. So looking at this direction, especially with the focus on rebuilding the defensive front and possibly reshaping the running game, do you believe this is the right path for the Bears moving forward? But the projection doesn't stop there, because when you move into the 3rd round, the Chicago Bears could once again look to reinforce what is shaping up to be a complete rebuild of the defensive interior. A.J. Holmes coming out of Texas Tech after transferring from Houston, is exactly the kind of player that fits this timeline. He's produced consistently, registering multiple seasons with at least a couple of sacks, and showing real impact as an interior pass rusher. What really stands out is his run defense, grading at a very high level, which signals that he's not just a situational player. He's someone who can stay on the field and contribute on all three downs. At around 6'3", 305 pounds, Holmes brings that balance between power and quickness that defensive coordinators covet. And when you look at the Bears' situation, it makes perfect sense. The defensive tackle room could look completely different in a year. There are financial decisions looming, veterans who may not be part of the long-term plan, and a clear need to inject younger, more cost-controlled talent into that rotation. Holmes could be one of those under-the-radar additions that ends up playing a much bigger role than expected. Then, in the fourth round, attention shifts to the offensive line with Joe Bruner, a guard transferring to Indiana. He's an interesting case because his trajectory hasn't been perfectly linear. A couple of years ago at Wisconsin, he showed strong pass protection ability, ranking among the better interior linemen in his conference. Last season wasn't as dominant, but the move to Indiana could be exactly what he needs to reset and rebuild his draft stock. And here's why this matters more than it might seem at first glance. The Bears' current guard situation has experience, but it also has an expiration date. Veterans like Joe Thuney and Jonah Jackson won't be long-term solutions forever, and both could be nearing the final stages of their tenure with the team in the coming years. Bringing in a developmental guard now could prevent a future gap and ensure continuity on the offensive line. When you step back and look at this entire projection, the strategy becomes obvious. Build through the trenches, prepare for contract turnover, and maintain flexibility. This isn't just about plugging holes, it's about setting up sustained competitiveness. If these moves hit, the Bears could find themselves not only staying competitive, but actually taking a step forward as a more complete team on both sides of the ball. Now it's your turn. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you agree with this direction for the Chicago Bears? Which of these potential picks excites you the most, and what position do you think the team absolutely must address first? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a like if you enjoyed the breakdown, and make sure to click on the video that's on your screen right now. Stay locked in, because if you want the latest Chicago Bears news and analysis first, this is the place to be. Go Bears!